1st, and on the 3rd reached Johnson's ranch, where they joined Messrs. Tucker, Johnson, Ritchie, and others, who, being anxious to assist in the good work, had killed and were fire drying beef to take up the mountains. Here 2 days were spent making pack saddles, driving in horses, and getting supplies in shape. Indians were kept at the hand mill grinding wheat. Part of the flour was sacked and part converted into bread by the women in the vicinity. On the morning of the 5th of February, Alcalde Sinclair rode to Johnson's ranch, and all things being ready, he appointed Racine Tucker captain of the company, and in touching words commended the heroic work of its members, and bade them Godspeed in their errand of mercy. When ready to mount, he shook hands with each man, and recorded the names in a notebook as follows: Racine Tucker, Aguilla Glover, R.S. Moultrie, John Rhodes, Daniel Rhodes, Edward Kaufmeyer, D. Ritchie, James Curtis, William Eddy, William Coon, George Tucker, Adolph Brenheim, and John Foster. This party is generally known as the First Relief. Their route to the snow belt lay through sections of country which had become so soft and oozy that the horses often sank in mire, flank deep, and the streams were so swollen that progress was alarmingly slow. On the 2nd day they were driven into camp early by heavy rains, which drenched clothing, blankets, and even the provisions carefully stored under the saddles and leather saddle covers. This caused a delay of 36 hours, for everything had to be sun or fire dried before the party could resume travel. Upon reaching Mule Springs, the party found the snow from 3 to 4 feet deep, and contrary to expectations, saw that it would be impossible to proceed farther with the horses. Mr. Eddy was now ill of fever, and unfit to continue the climb, whereupon his companions promised to bring out his loved ones if he would return with Joe Varro, whom Mr. Johnson had sent along to bring the pack animals home after they should cease to be of use. At Mule Springs, the party built a brush storehouse for the extra supplies and appointed George Tucker and William Coon camp keepers. Then they prepared packs containing jerked beef, flour, and bread, each weighing between 40 and 75 pounds, according to the temperament and strength of the respective carriers. The following morning 10 men started on their toilsome march to Bear Valley, where they arrived on the 13th, and at once began searching for the abandoned wagon and provisions which Reed and McCutchen had cached the previous autumn after their fruitless attempt to scale the mountains. The wagon was found under snow 10 feet in depth, but its supplies had been destroyed by wild beasts. Warned by this catastrophe, the First Relief decided to preserve its supplies for the return trip by hanging them in parcels from ropes tied to boughs of trees. The 10 kept together courageously until the 15th, when Mr. M. D. Ritchie, James Curtis, and Adolph Brenheim gave up and turned back. Mr. Tucker, fearing that others might become disheartened and do likewise, guaranteed each man who would persevere to the end $5 per diem, dating from the time the party entered the snow. The remaining 7 pushed ahead, and on the 18th encamped on the summit overlooking the lake, where the snow was said to be 40 feet in depth. The following morning Aguilla Glover and Daniel Rhodes were so oppressed by the altitude that their companions had to relieve them of their packs and help them on to the cabins, which, as chronicled in a previous chapter, the party reached on the 19th of February, 1847. End of chapter 10.